Well, Leslie, so good to have you on the podcast. How you doing today?
I'm just great, Keith. Thank you. How about you?
I'm great. It's good to have you on. Looking forward to talking to you.
I'm excited to be here. I always love conversations with people who ask good questions.
Well, good. Well, try not to disappoint today then. Let me open up with this question for you. So, what's the best piece of advice you've ever received?
So when I got married, dads always have that advice that they've been thinking about. What are they going to tell you to do? And it's funny. My dad was a very frugal guy, like many in his generation. And he said, you have to be sure to give 10% and save 10%. And if you start now, it will serve you well. And it's funny, I think that applies to much more in life and business than people think it does. It's
That is
it's
very
really
true.
almost everything because it's a gratitude mindset, it's a giving mindset, it's a taking care of your family mindset, all in just managing that 20% of your money.
That's really awesome. That's a good piece of advice. Someone told me whatever your wife says, just say yes. So that's probably much better advice. But it's also served me well too.
That is a good one.
Yeah.
If your
Well,
if your wife is smart, if she's smart.
yeah, she's smart, right? Otherwise, you'll get in some really bad situations. So,
Yes.
I'm always curious with people like yourself. We never get where we are in life without some people coming alongside us and being mentors, role models. Who are some people in your life who you can think of who were either inspirational to you or role models for you? Here's your chance to give them a shout out and kind of thank them for being so important part of your life.
Absolutely. So I got to go back and start with my dad again. My dad had an amazing work ethic. And I think when you're a child and you observe a parent with a great work ethic, and you can tell that it is because of love of family and love of serving other people, he always saw in his business. He was an executive. He didn't start out as an executive, but after many years of work, he was an executive at a pharmaceutical company, and helped save people's eyesight. And, he always saw his job as being a servant leader to his team members. And I think that that showed me how to be a good boss. When he retired, I will never forget at his retirement party, people cried
Oh, wow.
because they didn't want him to leave and they didn't want a different boss. Not that anyone else was so bad, just that he was that cool.
Right.
So there's that, and then this wonderful pair of ladies came into my life. Gosh, I guess it's 8 years ago, and they run a fantastic nonprofit organization, and their names are Judy Young and Leslie Irwin, and they run a Wish with Wings, which is a wish granting organization in Texas. It's kind of like Make a Wish. Everyone's heard of that. It's a
Right.
local version. And they granted a wish to my kid when he was sick. And then we just became, they like adopted us. They're part of our family now. Their passion for what they do every day is astonishing. And to see people have passion and then actually act on it, but with relentlessness, where they never quit, and every day they get up and say, how can I move my mission forward? There aren't many people who actually do that the way that these ladies do. And I met them about a year before I started up my current business. And they have really been role models, watching them and how they operate every day. Even though I'm in a for-profit business, I consult and help people, but I'm not doing it for free. Everything they do is not for profit, but it's still that mission of serving others. It's just rare these days, I think, to see people with that level of dedication.
That is awesome. It's important to have those people in your life who come alongside you and encourage you, show you the way. So that's really neat that you have those people in your life. I'm curious
Absolutely.
about the e-commerce part of your life because I tried the Amazon thing. It was a humongous failure, probably because I didn't know what I was doing. So I'm curious for those people who have maybe seen people come on YouTube and say you can sell on Amazon and be successful at it. Tell us a little bit about your personal story and your journey that got you to the point where you are today in e-commerce.
I love that you brought up the YouTube thing because y'all, it's a trap.
It
Um,
is a trap.
it's a trap. Whenever someone is creating their ad for their Amazon course or their Amazon system and they're standing in front of a Lamborghini with their bikini model next to them and their giant mansion behind them and they're wearing a watch that is worth more than your house, um, this is a sign, run away. And by the way, they rented all of that, including the bikini model. So
That's
don't
good to
do
know.
it. Because what they're preaching is get rich quick. Buy my system. It's only $5,000. It's only $10,000. You're going to be rich. And hard work looks like hard work, and success comes from hard work, not from these magic pills. Because if a magic pill worked, we would all do it, and we would all be rich. Which I guess then none of us would be rich anymore.
Right,
I don't know.
exactly.
So um, so I actually started in e-commerce out of necessity many years ago. This was never my plan. I have two boys, and my younger one was not doing well in school. And we took him to get the big diagnosis, and he's on the autism spectrum and has like six other diagnoses. And we decided, you know what, this is torture for him. We're going to homeschool for a few years, which really we didn't do school. We did therapy. We did therapy all day long and then a minimum of school to get by. And
Right.
which my mother was very dismayed. But like a lot of those kids, he's really bright. So it was all fine. And during that time, I could no longer create income in the way that I had been. And my husband was working full time in an office job, and we had another kid. We had to make more money because all that therapy is really expensive, even with good insurance. So I learned about selling on Amazon. And we did what y'all have all seen in some news article out there. We flipped stuff, and we flipped stuff from discount stores and local stores. So my husband would get home from work and we would all eat dinner, and then I would leave and I would go find deals at stores and bring it all home. And on the weekend, we would pack it all up and send it to the Amazon warehouse. And that's how I got started on Amazon. It was because we needed a different way to pay for our kids' necessities and challenges. And we've really been blessed by that because I started going to Amazon conferences and meeting other sellers who were having problems. So their account had been suspended, or Amazon took down one of their products, or Amazon asked for documentation or invoices from them and they didn't know what to send. They didn't know what to do. Well, I used to write plans of action for a living. I did business consulting and marketing consulting, and Amazon asks you for a plan of action if they're mad at you. So I started writing plans of action for other Amazon sellers that I met at conferences. And now, 10 years later, I am still doing that and solving problems for Amazon sellers. People think that Amazon is easy. It's not. It's become more of a real business. So I think if there's a lesson to learn in all the things that I've done, is that Amazon, just because it's online, it doesn't mean it's not a real business. You have to set up an LLC and a bank account and get insurance and do all the things that a retail store down the street has to do. But you're really lucky that you don't have to go to an office or stand there and serve customers in person.
See, now I looked at that video and I'm like, oh, I can do this. And then it failed. And so now I'm learning that if I sent the 5,000, I didn't send the 5,000. I was smarter than that. Because I'm like, the 5,000 I would have sent would have paid for the rental of the car and the model and the Lamborghini. And I would have made him rich. But you made a good point. I don't think people understand that anything that you're trying to do requires work. We do like the overnight success. I always laugh about that because I've had a lot of entrepreneurs on my podcast, and they all tell me the same thing. The overnight success is really rare, and there was still a lot that went into the overnight success that wasn't overnight. It was a lot of years and years of just really grinding and hard work. And anything that you're going to do is going to be worthwhile in life takes effort. So as you think about the new book you wrote, the Amazon Incubator, tell us about why you wrote that book. And for those who are thinking about diving into this, how is that book going to help them?
So I am all about setting up a business the right way from day one. And that is the piece that a lot of people kind of miss going into the Amazon world. So I don't want anyone to get caught in the get rich quick. I don't want them investing $10,000 in inventory if they don't know how to sell it. I would rather you spend 25 bucks on my book or 12.99 or whatever it is for the Kindle version, because that's a really small investment. And if you read the book and Amazon's not for you, okay, cool. But if it is for you, you've got a blueprint. So that's what I did, is created a blueprint that is step by step so that you do get a business plan when you're done reading the book. And so going back to what I said earlier, it's a real business. You need a business plan. That doesn't mean you have to write some 50-page document like for the SBA. All you need is kind of a step by step, what do I do next? So I wrote 13 bite-sized chapters. And at the end of each chapter, there's some thought questions about the contents of the chapter that are really like, what do you want to do? How do you want to run this? Where do you want to get your inventory? What kind of things do you want to sell? What's your goal? Is your goal that you want to quit your day job, or is your goal you want an extra $2,000 a month net because you want to take your family on a great vacation, you want to pay off debt, you need college money for your kid? I think that's where most people are, is that they need some extra money at the end of the month. So if that's your goal, then that business plan that you write working through the book is very different from the guy who's like, I want to build a brand. I want it to be worth $10 million. dollars. And you can go through the book and do that too. It's just a very different mindset and a different set of circumstances. So I really try to make it easy for someone who's never owned their own business. Whether you have or not, you can walk through this and by the end know, okay, here's what I do next.
My next question is really interesting because I'm thinking this in my head right now. What are some of the common misconceptions or mistakes people make when they get into e-commerce?
So, a huge mistake is not setting up your business like a business. So, you need an LLC. You have to have a business bank account and a business debit or credit card. It cannot be in your own name. That protects you personally, having that LLC, but also when you go to source products, whether you're buying from a wholesaler or you're buying from a factory, they want to know you're legit. They're going to sell to Keith LLC. They're not going to sell to Keith, because they don't want that. They assume you're fly by night. You're not the real deal. So that's a big thing. Also, documentation is a pain in the behind, but it matters. So now we have the glory of technology. You can set up all of your invoices to go into a file in your email. You can scan all of your documents. You can keep your mileage on an app because you can write off mileage, y'all. You don't want to pay that in taxes. Write off that mileage for when you drive your car around. So we have the technology to do it. You've got to still track stuff like a real business. And then the third thing is, people assume that if they're busy, they're making money. Okay, this is the most important one, y'all. If you're busy, it doesn't mean you're making money. Uh, there are some people who never close their books, their accounting books, until not just the end of the year, but say April 14th, because taxes are due the next day and they're going to do their Schedule C on their tax return. And then they figure out, oh, oopsie, Leslie lost money last year. I didn't actually make any money. So I worked, if it's a side hustle, I worked 15 hours a week for a year and lost money. There are people who, not just selling on Amazon, other side businesses that lose tremendous amounts of money. So they paid to work, and that is painful, not something that anyone should ever do. So closing your books every month, which is not hard to do, all it means is you're just tallying up what you brought in, what you sent out, um, knowing, okay, this product made money, these two didn't. How come? Can I make it better? If not, let's sell more of what made money. You have to do that analysis or you're wasting your time.
If I'm thinking about doing this, you mentioned a couple things that I'm interested in. Like, so how do you go about finding product that is it based on kind of this is something I'm interested in, or do you look for products that you think people want? I mean, in terms of best practice? Do you go for, I like this and I think other people like it too, or do you go, this is a hot seller, I should go with this? Do you have any recommendations on how do you choose the product?
I actually love when it's a combination of the two, and there is a way to make that happen. Because I think people, especially at the beginning, they are better sellers if they really understand what they're selling. So imagine that you have a kid who is on a select baseball team, and so you already spend $1 million on them. So what's another $100? And so you buy them a trainer or some kind of training aid. Can you tell I've done this before?
I can tell,
They
yes.
so you buy them some kind of a training aid for the backyard so they can hit in the backyard and they're not breaking everyone's windows, right? And then you figure out, you know what, that training aid is garbage. I could make a better one than that. And there's not one out there. Um, so it's you understand the product, you understand the need because you're experiencing the thing falls apart all the time or it was way too expensive. And then there's this great software out there. There's several companies that have software that you can explore a category or subcategory or product type on Amazon and figure out how stiff the competition is. So they even do things like they rate the listing detail page. That's the ad, essentially, that ad page that has all the photos and the video and the title. They will rate those and say, you know what, you found a niche where no one is really selling it the way you want to, or their photos are terrible, so people don't convert. Or this is saturated, move on, find some other product. So there's a product called Jungle Scout that's really good. Helium 10 is really good. Smart Scout. All of these are inexpensive softwares. There's expensive versions, but you can get the entry level a lot of times for free or $10 a month. So you can do this kind of product research and make sure that there's room for your product. The riches are in the niches. I'm sure you've heard that phrase before. And nowhere is it more true than Amazon. There are categories totally saturated. You don't want to go there. But there's always some new product with some new feature that other people haven't sold yet.
So tell me how, you're someone who produces a product. Why wouldn't they just sell it themselves? Why would they sell it to someone else to sell on Amazon? Tell us kind of how the mindset, because I'm thinking that people are probably listening to this going, well, if I have this product, why wouldn't I just sell to Amazon? I would cut out the middleman, right?
Right, absolutely. So there are a lot of brands who now sell directly on Amazon, either as a vendor or as a third party seller. Vendor just means you sell it to Amazon itself, and they sell it. Or third party seller is what most of us do, right? We set up our own account, sell our stuff. There are a lot of people. So you actually brought up one of my favorite strategies for new sellers. Um, this strategy is called Be a Hometown Hero. Wherever you live, there are small businesses that manufacture and create products. There are retailers that have their own little products. And they don't want to be in e-commerce because they're doing real good just to run their store or run their factory or sell the wholesale, which they already do. And they have no interest in trying to figure out Amazon. You go get them to sell you their products at their best wholesale rate and say, I need returns for 120 days because we got to figure out if this is even a sell on Amazon. You go create their listing detail page, run a few ads, see if you can get it going. You're their exclusive seller. It's a great way to create residual income for yourself. It's a new income stream for them. They don't have to do anything except sell you the product at the same rate they're already selling. So
Right.
there are lots of folks who they just don't want to learn a new thing. They've got too much other stuff to do. There are people who decide, they don't even want to sell on Amazon. They want to use Shopify. They want to sell on their own website. That's completely viable. The challenge is that you have to advertise yourself if you do that strategy. You have to break through the noise. So I hope you've got some private equity funding because Google ads are really expensive. Believe me, I know. I pay for them every single day, and they'll make you go bankrupt. So Amazon has 350 million, I believe, Prime subscribers around the world. 250 million of those are households here in the United States. This is a captive audience. I'm sorry, 150 million in the United States. This is a captive audience. These are people who search first on Amazon when they want to buy something. It's easier. They have the app. They're
Right.
like me. Even if they're in the store, if something's big, heavy, or annoying, they'll check and see if it's on Amazon. I could just get it delivered to my house. That'd be cool. Um, so, so it's a go-to for a lot of folks.
That's awesome. So for for those who are like really intrigued now, because I mean, if you're listening to this, you're going, "Oh, I think I can do this." Um, Besides buy your book, which I think is a good first step, what kind of time? Because I know people are thinking, I'm already busy. Give us a realistic idea of how much time you need to put into this to really be successful. Because you don't want to do something and, like you just said, at the end of the month, you're always losing money. So realistically, if we're going to do this, how much time should you really set aside to be successful at this?
Great question. A lot of it does depend on how much money you want to make. But as an example, you can run a small Amazon business that there's some startup time where you're going to have to find good places to source products near you. And those might be retail arbitrage. They might be local vendors, or you might go online, go through wholesalers, or source your own product. It takes you a while to find the stuff that's profitable that you can find that everyone else isn't selling. So there's some startup time involved in finding those. So I would say, that's probably 20 hours a week for a month to find you some stuff that you're really comfortable with. But then after that, if you're just on maintenance and you're trying to make that $2,000 a month net, that's 5 to 10 hours a week, because you're just replenishing those goods. You're updating your listing pages if they're your own products, or you're repping someone online, and then you're shipping stuff to the Amazon warehouse. You can even, over time, and this is in the book and it's important, over time, you can outsource most of your tasks. So a lot of people in the United States have VAs, virtual assistants, in the Philippines. I use Filipino virtual assistants in my Amazon business. They answer all my customer service messages. They check all of my shipments to make sure all the inventory got to Amazon's warehouse. They alert me when I'm about to run out of product and I need to restock. And they're very inexpensive hourly. So many of these folks run a whole lot of accounts, and you can get them for a steal, a couple $100 a month max, usually less than that. They will do a lot for you. You can also, if you work with particular wholesalers or distributors or manufacturers, over time, not at the beginning, because you have to make sure they're trustworthy, but over time, you can even have them ship your inventory direct to the FBA warehouse, the Amazon warehouse. So you don't even touch the product. So there's a lot of great automation, and there's a lot of great outsourcing that you can make it a 5 to 10 hour a week extra job. Or you want to hustle, you want to make more money, you can fill as many hours of the day as you have available.
That's awesome. Thank you for that. So all the stuff we just talked about, people can find in your book, the Amazon Incubator.
Yes, absolutely. And it's, of course, available on Amazon.
There you go. So you don't have a YouTube video where you're showing us how to do this.
Yeah, because I'm trying to save you from spending the $5,000. I really am. And I tell you also, a lot of those YouTube classes and systems, those folks who buy those end up being my clients for my business Riverbend, which we get people out of trouble with Amazon. So they're not always following Amazon policy. They do things that, like, for example, I mentioned earlier, you got to keep all your documents. You need really good invoices. You need suppliers you can trust, not people who are flipping stolen inventory to you, y'all.
That would be bad, yeah.
There are pitfalls. And so if no one warns you, you might be a little naive, because you think other people, this is one of those traps where we all assume other people in the world are the same level of goodness that we are. And not everyone is. And Amazon is actually, all e-commerce sites are heavily used for trafficking of various things. and money laundering. And so Amazon has to look at you as though you might be one of those bad guys. So you got to have good invoices and good suppliers. And if I warn you of that up front and you read about it and you understand it, you're cool. But if someone's telling you the snake oil, this is all easy, you can just throw any product up there, you might think, oh, well, I'll just buy, off the back of that truck over there, and not realize that those were stolen goods. So it's yeah, it can be challenging, and we're gonna keep you out of those pits of despair.
That sounds like a good plan. I don't really want the FBI showing up at my door.
Yeah, and I don't want to scare anyone off of selling on Amazon. I do believe the reason the book is called the Amazon Incubator, despite being someone who problem solves for people with problems all day long, I still believe Amazon is the greatest small business incubator in history. There's nothing to rival it. There are thousands upon thousands of built on Amazon businesses that have provided people with income for their family and the ability to quit their job and to have a different lifestyle. And it's not successful for everyone, but it's still a great opportunity. But it's the opportunity is always the best if you go in with eyes wide open. It's just like, all these kids who think they're going to go be in the NFL. Well, you need to understand how much time you're going to spend in the weight room if that's something you really want. And if you really want to play college ball, go eat that chicken and then eat a chicken the next day. That's what we're doing at my house right now, is feeding someone chicken every day, tons of it, and steak and eggs. And he's like, I want spaghetti. And I'm like, no, you have to eat chicken because you want to play college ball. So like lots of protein. And businesses are like that, right? You go in and someone tells you, hey, you got to do these things, you're going to be in good shape. So anyone out there who's interested, I will tell you, even if you have no interest in my book, go out and find out about Amazon, because you can make a living or create that extra income for your family, which to me is very exciting that the opportunity even exists.
Wow, that's great. So what are you excited about in this season of your life?
Oh, that's a great question. So I am 2 years away from being an empty nester.
Oh, wow.
I have lots of mixed feelings about that. So I am currently trying to figure out what I'm going to do with my time when my husband and I only have two people's worth of laundry instead of what was once four people's worth of laundry, and then six because both of my children are very large. So each of them was like laundry for two. And now I'm feeding three extra people, even though it's just one, right? Because
Right.
my football player eats enough for three or four people. So, I think it's really challenging when you're moving into, like you said, season in life, new season in life, figuring out what the thing is. I mentioned the ladies at the very beginning of your podcast who are in the nonprofit, the Wish Granting, and we've done a lot of volunteering for them. So I have recently joined the board of another nonprofit that helps kids and their families with cancer. And I think that is going to be what I want to spend my time on when the kids fly out of the house. I know what it's like to have a kid with cancer and been down that road, and it really has changed the way I see the world. And if I can spend that extra mommy time now on helping other families, I've just got to find a way to forge that path and move forward with it.
That's awesome. So you're hoping he goes and plays for University of Texas?
So I am a Longhorn, so is my husband. My kid loves the Longhorns. However, I don't think he's quite that quality of athlete. So we're looking at some small D1, large D2 schools. He wants to be a meteorologist. So we are limited because there are only about 35 schools that have a meteorology program and
Oh,
football.
wow.
So that's what we're looking for. Yeah,
At least you know what direction to run.
It'd be great to see him run out on the field in Austin, but I don't think that's going to happen. There's not very many kids who qualify for that.
Well, and then they're moving to the SEC, so it'll even be harder.
Yeah, it's funny. We were looking at one school that actually is a cupcake for Alabama about every other year, and I said, "Hey, you get to play on an SEC field. You just get your brains beaten out."
It's true, yeah. It's like the Amazon TikTok thing. But yeah. Oh my
Yes.
word. Before I say goodbye, is there some advice you'd like to share with the audience who are thinking about e-commerce that we haven't covered, but maybe even just a word of encouragement or something for those who are just kind of hearing this going, I'm really intrigued now. I'm thinking about doing it. So any words you have for people who are kind of on that fence right now?
Anytime you tell your family or your friends that you're thinking about starting up an online business, they will either tell you that you're about to get scammed or that everybody fails or there's no way that's going to work. I think when things are not concrete and in front of people, they don't understand it. And what people don't understand, they're afraid of. I just want to tell you, there are thousands of us, millions of us out there. You just need to find your people. So because we are online sellers, you can find us all online. So go on Facebook, go on, any kind of community type site, go on even Reddit or what's my kids are on Discord. There's
Mm.
Discord groups with Amazon sellers. If you're younger folks, find your tribe of people who want to sell on Amazon or do sell on Amazon. There are a lot of people who give free advice, give really great advice and guidance because they want to help each other. Because this isn't like you can go down the street if you're a dentist and talk to three other dentists and learn from them. At your church in small group, there's not going to be an e-commerce small group for you. I'm sorry. So you've got to really be intentional about going out there and finding people to help you. Also, I'm on all the social media channels, and my name is in the notes, I'm sure, on this podcast. So hit me up, send me a direct message. I love to talk to small business sellers. It's my favorite thing to talk to entrepreneurs. And if I can be helpful or point you in a direction, I want to do that. And I can point you to another person who will say the same thing and help you.
That's awesome. So Leslie, I'd love to ask my guest this question. What do you want your legacy to be?
Oh, goodness. So for my children, I hope someday that they will have children and they will be the kind of servant leaders for their children that I've tried to be for mine. That we've shown our kids sacrifice. And I think that sacrificing for the next generation is powerful. And then in the community, I think it's got to be some kind of helping kids with cancer thing, Keith. I just
Mm.
haven't quite figured that out yet. I really want to create something lasting that either helps fund cancer research for kids or helps their families when they're going through a time of need.
Yeah, that's a great. So where can people find your book again, the Amazon Incubator, and again connect with you on social media?
So the Amazon Incubator is on Amazon. We also have a website set up that's theamazonincubator.com. We've got some bonuses there if you buy the book. And then for me, you can find Leslie Hensel I'm on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, yeah, all the places, Twitter, or X, I'm sorry, wrong name. And probably the best place to find me if you're really into Amazon is on LinkedIn or on Facebook. So I post all the time, lots of Amazon content, and then you can direct message me if I can ever be of service. Please reach out.
Well, Leslie, thanks so much for being a guest on the podcast and bringing such good content and information. Now I can get rid of all those people I'm following on YouTube who are trying to sell me Amazon connections because obviously I'm not going to learn anything from that. So I appreciate you.
Well, thank you so much, Keith. This has been fun.